This village only had 100 people, but 98 of them were struck by a strange disease called rust sickness. They could barely move, as if death was always just around the corner. No one knew why this was happening. They didn't even notice their faces were slowly covered in rust. It wasn't until the traveling bug master, Ginkgo, arrived, that the truth finally came out. The village chief revealed what happened 14 years ago. A man suddenly lost control of his legs. That same day, an orphan girl named Casey lost her voice. But strangely, Casey's body never showed a single trace of rust. Because she was both an orphan and the only one who didn't get sick, she became the most hated child in the village. Every time she went to trade for food, the store owner gave her a torn sack on purpose. Her grain would scatter on the ground. Yet Casey never complained. She just picked everything up in silence. While everyone despised her, one boy named Jack never treated her that way. He was also one of the few untouched by rust sickness. Jack helped her pick up the spilled grain. He even stitched up her torn bags. Casey wanted to say thank you, but she forced herself to stay silent. When Ginkgo met Casey, he told her that he too could see the rust bugs. For the first time, Casey had found someone she could truly talk to. The truth was shocking. Casey's voice had the same frequency as the rust bugs' call. Whenever she spoke, they swarmed to her voice. Even people could become infected if she kept talking. Luckily, Ginkgo had discovered a way to drive the rust bugs away. But before he left, Casey made a strange request. She asked him to teach her how to write. The next day, she wrote something on a towel for Jack. Then she hurried off. Jack couldn't read, so the store owner snatched the towel and read it out loud. It said, "I can't talk, because if I do, you'll catch rust sickness too." Now the villagers believed Casey was the cause. They wanted revenge. Jack rushed to find her, determined to protect her. Ginkgo appeared too, telling them there was no time left. The villagers were already marching toward Casey. Ginkgo stood in front of them. He said Casey wasn't cursed. She had been born with a voice so powerful it called the rust bugs. That's why she chose silence, carrying the burden alone. But the villagers still weren't convinced. They demanded Casey pay with her life. Ginkgo tried to reason with them. If Casey's voice could call the disease, it could also be used to drive it away. That meant she was their only hope. Maybe that spark of hope kept the villagers from killing her. But Casey and Jack's escape didn't last long. Casey slipped and fell off a cliff. Jack dove after her and was badly injured. At the bottom of the ravine, Casey woke to find Jack bleeding. The only way to save him was to call for help. But if she shouted, she'd unleash the rust bugs again. Her heart tore between keeping him safe and keeping him alive. Finally, Casey screamed for help. The rust bugs came swarming. They surrounded the two of them. But strangely, they didn't touch Jack, because Jack had grown up by the sea, and the scent of seawater was the rust bug's greatest weakness. When Casey returned home, the villagers' rust sickness had already faded away. No one blamed her anymore. Not long after, people often heard a bright, clear voice singing by the shore. Casey had moved to the seaside with Jack. There, she could finally speak freely. Every word dissolved into the ocean wind, and for the first time, Casey lived a life filled with joy. If you were Casey, would you keep silent for others all the time?